In my hands right here are the brand new Wilson DYNAPWR Carbon and DYNAPWR Max Fairway Woods. Now they look absolutely stunning, but we're going to put them through their paces in my hands as an average swing speed mid-handicap golfer today on TrackMan to see how they really perform. Let's find out. Right, before we start hitting some shots, let's just tell you a little bit about the looks, construction and technology that we've got in both of these fairway woods. Now the first thing to call out is the technology. The PKR 360 is the AI technology that Wilson are using to try and make the face a little bit more variable on both of these fairway woods to just maximise the forgiveness on off-centre hits, retain those ball speeds and give us as much distance as they possibly can. In terms of the other bits of difference between these two clubs, we've got an adjustable hosel on the Carbon version that you can dial up a couple of degrees and dial down a couple of degrees versus a fixed hosel in the Max, but we do get options from 3, 4 and 5 in the Carbon, 3, 5 and 7 in the Max as well, so there are lots of different loft options for you to dial these in with a custom fitter. We do have different weights in the heads as well. You'll see at the bottom here on the Carbon we've got a 30-gram front-loaded weight just to decrease that spin and just try and maximise again that launch and that penetration that we get with the club, versus with the Max we've got a 12-gram rear weight which is designed to pull that centre of gravity back, increase MOI as much as possible and just make this as forgiving a head as they possibly can, like lots of the other manufacturers are doing. In terms of what these clubs look like, when you look at them from the bottom they are very, very similar apart from that weight placement and that adjustable hosel. One says Carbon, one says Max, but absolutely stunning when you pull the head cover off and look at them for the first time. In terms of the face technology with both of them, it really does feel to me that you've got a slightly more squashed face, and that just could be the looks of it on the Carbon versus the Max. Just feel a little bit more squashed to me, but very, very similar. Reference to the PKR technology on the Carbon, it isn't there on the face of the Max, but it is on the bottom of the Max, which is where the Carbon weight is. One thing I really like about the face of both of these, like lots of manufacturers, is they've just infilled the paint on the heel and the toe side, which just really gives you the confidence of how much loft is there, and it actually makes you feel like you don't have to lean back and hit up on these. You can just hit through them, and it does help to frame the ball down at address as well as that D logo on the top of the club. The main difference in how they look, however, is when you do set them down at address. Because of the Carbon construction of the Carbon model, you can see that Carbon crown, and that does have a real nice reflection as we're here in the studio today, whereas the Max one is just a more consistent high gloss head. Now for me personally, because of how consistent it is, I probably prefer the looks of the Max down at address in terms of that crown shape, but every golfer will be a little bit different. In terms of the shaping, really feels like to me there is a little bit more of a curvature to the Max model as well, and it's a little bit more streamlined in the Carbon, which I think the better player will like as well. So two absolutely stunning fairway woods with lots of great technology in them. Let's give them both a hit and see how they perform in my hands side by side. There's the first one that truly shows what this golf club is capable of in my hands. Fortunately, TrackMan's not picked up all of my data for some reason, but 3,500 of spin off of a 129 ball speed, carrying at 196, totaling 216. Launch obviously peak height and land angle all low because, like I say, I don't normally game clubs at this sort of loft because I just need a little bit more help in my hands. But that is a penetrating ball flight that is rolling out and going a good distance for me. That one's much better, much better. There we go, there's the one that we've delivered the combination of the best of the last couple. Good ball speed of 127 mile an hour, spinning at 2,900, carrying at 197, totaling at 219. Obviously a lot of rollout because of that lower, more penetrating launch height and land angle, but for me that's a really nice number off of a club that would be, you know, an alternative off of the tee, or in this case trying to chase it in to a second shot into a par 5. I think that's the fastest ball speed yet. It's going to be low. Little low, poor hook. Well, it started left of target. It's a big draw, really. Big slingy draw. 3,900 of spin, carrying 190, totaling 207. I can't believe how high the spin rate's capable of getting with this. That is also an impressive characteristic. I think I've just hit that massively out the toe. If that turns, it's huge. Ah, I've done the opposite. I've actually gone and overcorrected the face and left it wide open. That's such a shame because the path was exactly where I wanted it to be. Carried 192, still spinning at 4,000. Just snatched at that a little bit, overcorrected it. It really does feel great. Look, like I say, As an average golfer, right, this data set is going to be not the most consistent because we're hitting a 3-wood after all. But I think we can show what it's capable of, like 190 of carry, rolling out past 210 on good hits. It's got enough spin about it. It can deliver that penetrating flight. It also, if you hit it a little bit pushy like I have done, it pops up as well and gives you some really good heights and distances still. Right, got the Carbon in my hands. What I would say is first things first, obviously a combination of the shaft and the head, but it all feels a little bit heavy. We obviously got a 30-gram weight on the Carbon versus the 12-gram on the Max, but even with this shaft that's in it, the stock shaft, the Ventus, just feels like a slightly more heavier combination. So it'd be interesting to see how I get on with that. Well, first one out of the gate would suggest very, very well. Look at those numbers. 123 of ball speed, spinning at 2.9, carried at 191, rolled out to 212, launch angle 14.6, peak height 70 degrees, and land angle 35.3. I would take those. That's much better. Yeah, baby. May just be the overall weighting of this club. I do find that as I move up the bag to drivers and fairway woods, I do like things to be stiffer shafts, a little bit heavier myself. And this is like, yeah, 2 or 3 shots in. That one there, 87 mile an hour club head speed, exactly what I'd want to see. Ball speed at 130 is really good. Still spun at 3.6, despite the fact that this is the lower spinning head. Admittedly, I've obviously pushed it down the left-hand side, but carrying the air at 198, totaling 216, and it's still got 72 feet in the air. They're really, really impressive numbers. Another one with really good ball speed. Love that as well. Yeah, started on target, just turned a little bit round to the right-hand side, but I would absolutely take that as a shot every single time. That's again just due to my face-to-path relationship there. 3.2 of spin off of 130 of ball speed, carrying at 199. Totaling 220, peak height 65 feet with it. That felt great. Pleased with that one, really pleased with that one. Just having the confidence now that I can see that it wants to still get in the air, to just actually sort of hit down on it. We're getting a little bit more spin as a result. 196 of carry. Spinning at 3.2, totaling 217. It's still going 66 feet in the air, which again is a nice penetrating ball flight that's allowing me to maximize that rollout. I like that. If it turns back, it's good. It's not bad at all. 193 of carry, little bit of a sling draw. 3739 of spin. I really like this one. This would be my model. As much as in the driver, I really like the forgiveness of the Max, and I would like to do a bit more testing there before I decide which one I sort of long-term game. This is the one I think in the fairway wood. I love the weight of this shaft and head combination together. I just think we might need a 5-wood or to dial this one up a little bit just to give me that confidence. If that's straight, it's unreal, it's fast. Yeah, look at that. Best golf shot I've hit all day by some way. 131 ball speed of 89 mile an hour club head speed, spinning at 3332, carrying at 201.4, totaling at 222 at 68 feet of peak height. This is a really good golf club. They're both really good, but this is a seriously good golf club. Right, time to deep dive into the data from those 2 batches of shots and a few more shots that I hit off camera. Now, starting on the left-hand side, you will see that club head speeds and ball speeds were really similar between both clubs, with the Wilson DYNAPWR Carbon a fraction faster, delivering 0.2 mile an hour more ball speed off 0.6 mile an hour less club head speed, as shown in that slightly higher smash factor. Spin rates were also near identical at 3235 RPM with the Carbon versus 3252 RPM with the Max. However, where I hit the batch of shots slightly better with the Carbon, you can see that spin rate was a touch more consistent. Just like in those spin rates, ball flights were also nearly identical on average, with the Carbon launching 0.1 degrees higher, apexing 1 foot higher, and landing 0.3 degrees steeper. Again, the numbers were slightly more consistent with the Carbon due to my better quality of strike. And as you can just see here from the side on view, it's always hard to see this when there's quite a lot of shots overlapping each other, but ball flights were incredibly consistent, especially considering that I'm the biggest variable here as a mid-handicap golfer. So given how similar all the numbers are, it's really no surprise to see that the distances are very similar too, with the DYNAPWR Carbon carrying 1.4 yards longer at 196.3 yards versus 194.9 with the Max, and totaling 1.1 yards longer at 229.2 versus 228.1 with the Max. I always say this at this point in the video, TrackMan does seem to exaggerate rollout. It plays firm and fast. I wouldn't expect to see that much rollout out on the golf course, but these are still some really good distances. Final thing to show you at this part of the video is my dispersion circles. You can see that left to right it's very similar between the two clubs, but front to back it certainly was tighter in my hands with the DYNAPWR Carbon. And like I said in the video, I really just found it easy to time that one up and hit a really good batch of shots with it. Now, one final thing, as you're seeing on screen right now, I did hit a couple of shots on camera with the DYNAPWR Carbon dialed up by 2 degrees using the loft sleeve, because I need a little bit more loft in my hands in this part of the bag, and the results were really interesting from this small batch of shots that I just wanted to show you them too. As you can see here is that by dialing up the loft 2 degrees, it gave me the confidence to deliver a more downward angle of attack and swing the club faster. The end result was a similar spin profile, but surprisingly a touch lower ball flight, but an additional 6.3 yards of carry distance and 8.8 yards of total distance. So if you are someone of a similar swing speed to me and maybe you don't get on with your 3-wood, maybe consider dialing it up or looking at a 5-wood, because you might actually find that you actually hit it the same distance or further, where loft can be your friend. So what are my headline messages on the Wilson DYNAPWR Fairway Woods? Well, first of all, these fairway woods are absolutely stunning, and I defy anyone to pick these up off the shelf, put them down at address and not be impressed with how they look, just like the rest of the Wilson DYNAPWR range in 2025. In terms of performance, if you're looking for maximum forgiveness, then choose that Max head, because I didn't strike the batch of shots that great with that head, and as you saw from the data set, the averages were keeping up with the batch of shots I hit with the Carbon, which were significantly better. For me personally, I would choose the Carbon head because it was so easy for me to get good numbers out of that club very easy, and that combination of shaft and head just felt absolutely great in my hands, and it even gave me the confidence that even I could potentially hit a 3-wood. In terms of price point, the Carbon is £50 more expensive than the Max, but both fairway woods are 20 to 30% cheaper than all big brand fairway woods released in 2025. So if you are looking at these fairway woods, you get stunning looks, great performance, and maybe even save yourself a few quid in the process too. My only potential gripe with the fairway woods is that the Max doesn't have that adjustable hosel. Now, whilst I wouldn't recommend that golfers like me start tinkering around with their loft sleeves, I do think it's a really good tool for fitters to use and does give you a little bit more adjustability if your swing changes and you need a little bit more out of your club in the future. And I just wish that Wilson had given us it on the Max like they did on the Carbon Model 2. Now, all that's left for me to say, if you've got some value out of this video, then you can return the favour by hitting that thumbs up button. Equally, if you're not yet subscribed to my channel, hi, I'm Luke, the Weekend Tour Pro. There's a button on screen for you right now. If you press it, you'll subscribe to my channel and be notified of all my videos as they land on YouTube every single week, just like at Marion Murphy 6740. Marion's been a recent subscriber to the channel and really engaged in the comments. Thank you so much for your support. Equally, if you think you might want to watch another one of my videos, there's a couple of options popping up for you on screen right now. If you press one of those, you'll be taken to it straight away. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Goodbye.